Hey guys! Welcome to another episode of Bible Q&A. Today we're discussing what is the right seed to sow? The Bible is filled with various metaphors, and one of them is sowing and reaping. For example, Hosea said, "Sow to yourselves in righteousness, reap in mercy, break up your fallow ground, for it is time to seek the Lord, till he come and rain righteousness upon you." Hosea chapter 10 verse 12. However, as the Bible also points out, this will only work if you sow the right seeds, according to James chapter 3 verse 12. So, what seeds should Christians be sowing? Well, let's look no further than the parable of the wheat and tares. There was someone who sowed wheat and another person who sowed tares. However, Christians can actually do both. Our actions either sow good seeds or bad seeds. Either they make people righteous or they make people unrighteous. For example, God himself said that Abraham would sow his teachings to his son Isaac and his grandson Jacob. "For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord, to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken of him." Genesis chapter 18 verses 17 to 19. In fact, his great-grandson Joseph believed in God so much that he asked to be taken with the people to Canaan after his passing, even though the Egyptians had skilled men who could bury him properly in Goshen. Also, Jesus sowed the virtue of service into his disciples by washing their feet. He did this to his disciples so that they could go and do it to others. He said as much in John chapter 13 verses 14 to 15. "If I then, your Lord and Master, have washed your feet, ye also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example, that ye should do as I have done to you." And indeed, when they started preaching Christ's message, they didn't start hoarding all the money they collected. They in turn sowed the virtue of service into their flocks, creating a community of generosity and kindness, according to Acts chapter 4 verses 32 to 37. Imagine if today's pastors could do the same. On the other hand, it is possible to sow bad seeds, or take actions that give people the wrong idea about Christianity. For example, in Galatians chapter 2 verses 11 to 13, Paul criticized Peter's decision to separate himself from the Gentiles when the Jews were around. That showed the Jews and the Gentiles that Christianity was still primarily about Jewish laws and customs, when Peter himself was shown a vision that stated that everyone was welcome to the faith now, in Acts chapter 10 verses 10 to 16. Also, in 1 Kings chapter 12 verses 28 to 33, Jeroboam created a new worship site with its own idol to prevent the citizens of the northern kingdom from continuing their pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Even though the Israelites still technically worshipped the God of Moses, and the switch was done mainly for political reasons, his actions had a huge religious impact. No Israelite king eventually re-established the religion based on worship in Jerusalem, and later kings would add foreign gods to the state religion, like Ahab in 1 Kings chapter 16 verse 34, who added Baal to the list. And of course, it's important to note that you don't have to lead someone to sow a seed to someone. Abigail ran to stop him from attacking her family. Her words of peace were so genuine that they sowed a seed of forbearance in David's heart, and he eventually turned his men back. Thus, my advice is, let's be more like Abigail. Let's sow seeds of kindness, virtue, and forbearance. Just as sowing good physical seeds can yield delicious fruits and vegetables, sowing virtues, combined with God's reign from Hosea chapter 10 verse 12, produces a healthy society that we can all enjoy. What a great harvest we're going to have. And that is where I'm going to stop with this Bible Q&A, where we discuss the kinds of seeds that Christians should sow. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share it with others. Goodbye, everyone.